Greetings, Moonlight Citizens. This is your man on the moon, the Moonlight King here, with Moonlight Kingdom Podcast 113. In this one, we talk Doom, Thanos, Ultron, the Infinity Stones, the Fantastic Four, and many more on Moonlight Kingdom Podcast 113. Let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, boom.
A lot of Marvel people have done a lot worse, but it's fine. He's gone. He's gone. Quantumania flops. Loki season 2 is pretty heat. It's Loki. In that time, they go back to the drawing board in 2023. They go back to the drawing board. They scrap everything Kang got. Scrap everything Kang. They go back to the drawing board for the Avengers, see who's left, see who they have to play around with, and then decide on what they need to do. They bring in Downey. They bring in Downey. They offer him 150 million or whatever. They say you're playing either Tony Stark or Dr. Doom. And they bring in the Russos. They bring in Steven and Marcus. They do all of that. But nothing for Blade since 2019. Excellent. Excellent. It's abhorrent.
Yeah.
It's simply abhorrent.
It's just what happened with Blade and the story, like the stories of the constant rewrites, the changing of the directors, and the shifting of like the cast members and everything. Because one point, Delroy Lindo was supposed to be in there. Another point, Mia Goth was supposed to be in there, and she was gonna play Lilith. And oh, yep. There were so many things. I remember, because that first draft that we heard of was way back into. We had a phone call about this. We talked for like 2 hours about that first draft of Blade because it was still Phase 4. And it leaked that, oh, the Blade movie isn't solely going to focus on Blade. He's got a daughter, and, he's like training her to be the new Blade, but she doesn't want to take up the name Blade. And she's like, kind of tries to shame him for it. And we remember we talked about that way back then, which shows how long they've been working on this. And even then, we were like, bro, this is bad. We can't have a Blade movie, call the movie Blade, show Mahershalaali as the new Blade, and have his first movie be him passing the torch.
It might as well be called Blade: The Next Generation. Like,
yeah,
what are we doing?
It wouldn't work. It's just terrible. Like, just it's not. Also, Blade's not really at the time. Blade wasn't really a mantle. It's not like Wolverine, which is Wolverine's a code name. You can't. Laura can be Wolverine. X-23 can totally be Wolverine. Blade is his name.
Exactly. It's not like a Captain Marvel or something.
Yeah.
Like, he's the only guy who that is.
Yeah.
His uncle wasn't the first Blade or whatever. He was just Blade. It's like Luke Cage. No one else is Luke Cage. Oh, hey, my daughter, your mom is Jessica Jones. When you grow up, you'll be the next Luke Cage, or you'll be the next Power Man. No. That kid's gonna choose their own name. They're not gonna be Power Girl or whatever. There's already Power Girl DC, but like, they're not gonna be the next Power Man just because Luke Cage has a son now with Jessica Jones. That's gonna be their own name, like their own creation.
Yeah.
It's just legacy farming.
It's just it was a disaster. Just the plus there was the timing the story came out because we were very much in the era of replacing the OG heroes with their female counterparts. I don't know why, but around about the time that's what was going around because they had announced Batgirl. They announced that they were working on a Supergirl movie from The Flash because that movie hadn't come out yet. But like they were very much keen to do it, and Supergirl was going to be part of it. And at some point, they were going to do a Supergirl movie because Walter Hamada, for some reason, really liked Crisis on Infinite Earths, and he wanted the DCEU to lead to that, not Darkseid taking over like Zack Snyder initially planned or any of that. But he wanted the DCEU to culminate with a big Crisis story, which in
Hmm.
theory isn't bad, but it's too soon. Way too soon. Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't
Even with this,
yeah.
like, you keep hearing, word that Marvel is gonna reboot, reboot, reboot. That seems to be the consensus. At the same time, you hear this sort of reported list of, oh, these are the characters that are going to survive the reboot. Why are we surviving a reboot? Why are we even having a reboot? What's the point? I said this maybe 2 years ago. I was like, what's the point of having a cast that is handpicked after like 9 months of searching, whatever? If you think of the Fantastic Four, there was no team that was deliberated so much other than they spent like a year shuffling through people, calling people back, people saying, oh, they can't do it, they have a movie in April. They spent so long changing the cast, so long, just to reboot them in 2 years' time, just to reboot them after their second, third movie. Now we're hearing that they're gonna survive the reboot. Like, what's the point of anything? Why are we hearing that Jean Grey is gonna survive the reboot because she's a teenager? What's going on there?
Yeah.
It's
It's
strange.
it is very it's also we exist in a very weird what speaking of Jean Grey and the X-Men and so Jean Grey is a teenager, but Professor X and Magneto are both old as fuck. Wolverine is the Wolverine. Okay, he's not the Wolverine we know from the Foxverse, but he's still Hugh Jackman. James Marsden is still Scott. Rebecca Romaine is Mystique in the MCU, but Jean Grey is a teenager?
That one is pretty easy to explain, but it's still pretty stupid. So obviously Doomsday, I mean, we know this because we like read the initial leaks from like 2023, but obviously Doomsday is 3 universes. Rebecca Romaine and crew are of the OG Fox universe. Obviously, it's no longer Lawrence because Lawrence was always just the younger version of Rebecca. Cool. So it's OG Fox universe. I don't even know what Earth's designation it is. Let's call it Earth 2000. It's fine. Earth 2000, that is the X-Men that we watched as kids. Hugh Jackman might be in it. They don't know. Well, not that they don't know, but we haven't been told. Even the leaks aren't too sure because he was only seen doing Deadpool and Wolverine. At the same time, we do know that Deadpool is in some Avengers movie. I think it's Secret Wars, because obviously that scene where he's crying at Thor, that is from that. It's like a weird Easter egg, but that's besides the point. Jackman might show up. A person who's definitely not showing up because they were asked and said they're not going to come back is Halle Berry. She might be lying. She might be pulling a Garfield. I honestly don't know. But it seems like she's just genuinely offended that she wasn't asked to come back. At the same time, though, look at a character like Halle Berry Storm. She's not the sort of surprise that you would expect. She's not the kind of character where if she shows up, everyone's applauding and screaming and clapping. She's not Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
With Storm, it would be like, well, since we have Professor X and Magneto, if Halle Berry did show up, it would be like, well, of course you're here. They're here. It makes sense that you're here. It's not like when Elektra showed up, because Elektra was never in X-Men or the MCU. When she showed up, it was like, whoa, you? Because back then, those movies weren't by Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios wasn't a thing then. It was...
Exactly.
Yeah. So her being there, it was like, whoa, this is something nobody could have predicted, because you wouldn't think of it. That movie was rough. Not a lot of people came out of it. Yeah. So seeing her here is a big surprise.
And this is so funny because it's true. The only reason why she came back is because she thought that Ben had agreed to do Daredevil. So them showing up together, it would have been like a big cinematic, oh my god, wow, the ex-couple in real life is also the ex-couple in the movies. Until she realized that Ben actually said no. But she already said yes. Fuck it, I'll just do it alone. Ben was asked and he said no. I think he's just down his fears, but at the same time he did do the Flash, so he's one book.
Yeah, but that was like 3 scenes tops. Because there was the chase, that scene on the bridge, and that scene with him talking to Barry, and that was it. It was practically a cameo.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much would have been the exact number of times as Deadpool Wolverine. Because those guys were only in the cave and whatever hideouts. They were in the night scene and they were in the battle. And they were gone. They died. They were eaten by Elias, and that was it. It wasn't really a long appearance, but
I mean, we don't know that for sure. I mean, they could be around somewhere.
But now the point is, that's why I don't think that Halle Berry is lying. Her showing up is not going to be such a crazy fun thing. Yes, people love Halle Berry. She's an A-list actor. She is very famous. But her character, like Storm is a very popular character, yes. She's an Omega level mutant. People love her in the animated show, 90s and the 97 series. But she's not the kind of character with the star power that would warrant her lying a la Andrew Garfield to hide the fact that she's in Doomsday. No one is waiting for Storm to come in and save the day. Yes, in a way, it would be like Thor doing that, but I don't think people would have the same reaction if Storm just came in and zapped Dr. Doom and he went flying. It's Storm. Popular, but she's not like top 3 popular. Top 3, Wolverine, Cyclops, and, maybe a Jean Grey. Maybe. It's usually Magneto or Professor X. But let's just say Wolverine, Cyclops, Professor X. That's top 3 popular. So, if anything, maybe a James Marsden could have said, "Oh, I'm not in Doomsday. Don't worry. They never even asked me." And then he shows up, and it's popping, and it's cool, and it's like, whoa, no one is really waiting on for Halle Berry, so I don't think she's lying. I really don't. She genuinely wasn't asked back, and she was offended by it, and I understand it. But now my question is, okay, so this is all just to explain to you, by the way. I've gotten so sidetracked. It's the Foxverse, it's MCU, and it's Toby's verse. Those are the three worlds, and of course the MCU. But the MCU is the original. Like, it's not the original in terms of the first universe, but that's where the action is taking place from, and then it's going into the other worlds. So what it basically is that in Spider-Man Brand New Day, Jean Grey is a teenager because the X-Men of that world are not established. Doomsday is purely showing us the X-Men we grew up with as children. X-Men 2000 universe. Then you have the Fantastic Four. They're from their 830 universe that we saw in their movie First Steps. And it's our MCU guys. Then apparently a hidden player in Doomsday is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. This is from the theories and leaked plot from 3 years ago. Actually, Tobey's universe gets wiped out first in Doomsday. And Tobey also dies. But there's another conflicting plot leak that says Tobey shows up in Secret Wars and he's fighting. Now, two things can be true. He can die here and come back in Secret Wars as another variant. But, again, we're just going to have to see. It's a bit confusing. But the main thing to note is that Sadie Sink's Jean Grey is still a teenager because the X-Men of our MCU is not defined yet, which is strange because how are you going to try and define the X-Men in the MCU if the MCU is about to end? Which is why people are saying, okay, it'll be a soft reboot. It won't be like a hard reboot where everyone goes. Just the people who are young enough to continue will stay. So that means Jean and maybe Scott Summers might be revealed because they're the same age. And then, in She-Hulk, I remember I told you way back then that there was like a news article on a computer used by Jen that said man in Canada attacks bar or something.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
It could be a Wolverine thing. Who the hell knows?
It may as well be, but it's so confusing because there's the fucking Brave New World. They just discovered adamantium, which is
strange because you could probably see now the biggest issue. I'm glad you said that. The biggest issue now is that you are now like retroactively. It's not even creating a sliding timeline. You're just changing everything. Because what this now means is that, at the very least, if we use the sliding timeline thing like The Simpsons, look at Hugh Jackman in the X-Men universe. He is a person who was in the Weapons X program 30 years before the events of X-Men. It's important that he has his Weapon X story in the past because he has amnesia. Now, if you use a sliding timeline in the MCU, whatever possible James Howlett, whatever Logan, he would have had to have a Weapon X program in the 1990s. That now can't happen because fucking Tiamat is adamantium. And the Celestial was turned into adamantium. He wasn't made out of it. You can't even lie and say there was another adamantium deposit from another dead Celestial. You can't even lie because he was turned into it by whatever that lady's name was. Cersei?
Yeah, it was Cersei. Because she was
Cersei?
Yeah, it was Cersei because people were making Game of Thrones jokes because she was dating Kit Harington's character and he plays Jon Snow.
Yeah. So, and also, here's my question. If you are a magical being, okay, thought it was like robots. They're like androids. Okay, whatever. If you're a cosmic android being who is millennia old, do you turn, and again, your powers are turning matter into other matter, turning silver into gold in your classroom experiments or whatever. You're hiding behind science, but you yourself are like magical science, like Thor. How do you turn something into something that doesn't exist? Because what we're supposed to accept purely off of like implication is that Cersei created adamantium. But how does that really work?
There's an explanation, but it's not in the MCU. See,
right.
adamantium. Okay, I don't know how it works in the world of the MCU, but adamantium is
it's an asteroid.
Yeah, even in Wolverine's origin, they say that
the comics origin.
Yeah,
that's why I'm asking, because within the MCU, is Cersei like, it's like chicken and egg in the MCU now, because how did Cersei know to change the Celestial's body composition into this thing? Did she just, because look at Invincible, right? Just a quick tangent. Look at Invincible. Adam Eve's powers. If you've watched her, she had like a mini, like a 4-episode mini series about when she was younger and how she learned how to use her powers. Adam Eve sees particles. She just knows intrinsically in her mind how certain molecules and atoms are rearranged, and she can manipulate them. She learned it. She didn't like know it as a baby, but like through studying, she was like a child prodigy. She eventually grew to know the anatomical structure of everything: apples, desks, spoons, cars, tires, like to the point where she can manipulate everything because she knows the composition. She knows how to change sodium into, nitrate, like, things like that. She actively has to count and manipulate each atom in order to successfully change it. That's how her powers work. If Cersei is changing things on an anatomical level like Adam Eve, she has to know the thing that she's transforming this thing into. You can't just create a new thing. Adam Eve doesn't create a new thing. She creates things out of things that already exist. Otherwise, she'd just be creating a new metal every time she fought a villain. She's either using, gold, or she's using platinum or titanium or an alloy, which is a mixture of many things. So I don't think that Cersei can just create adamantium and think, okay, well, let's make it this hard thing. She has to have gotten adamantium before. Like, she has to have known it before in order to make it, in order to transform a celestial into it. So because of that, because now if you make adamantium the one and only thing that's on Earth, where is the Weapons X program? Because that means that whatever or whenever it takes place in 2027 or 2026. Like, it takes place now, like in the present day, which means Wolverine is either super young or he only recently gets his adamantium skeleton, but he's like, what, 90 years old? I don't know. Problem is, it's pretty much a prerequisite that Wolverine has to be pretty old because, he has like dealings with Captain America and he has dealings with like, world wars and, so it's kind of necessary, but at the same time, it's not super important to his character, depending on what story you read.
There's a way. But I mean, like, there's a way to have like Wolverine not be super young, but like have him mix it up with Captain America, and then you just have to like move his origin by a couple years. So instead of having him be born in early 1800s colonial America and fighting in the Revolutionary War in his first battles, just move it a couple decades and have him be born later in and have his first big war be like World War One. That way you still have him born like a really long time ago, and he comes up as a young man when he meets up with Captain America. If that's canon in the MCU, we don't know because we don't get to see that. We can have a flashback scene some point in either Doomsday or Secret Wars where Steve is like, "Oh hey, there's so and so. Me and him were, he helped the Howling Commandos back in the day take down fucking a sect of Hydra or some shit." You can do that and have either young Wolverine in there, but it's more than likely it'll be Hugh Jackman. So that won't make any sense. But it is what it is. It's weird. There's ways you can work with a sliding timeline, but there's also ways you can work with a timeline that isn't firmly established by just saying, well, this event to accommodate for the fact that we are so far into the future must have happened later, because we can't have a Magneto who's was a little kid around the time of the Holocaust, yet he's still around today.
See, that is fine and dandy. And, they probably can go that route, not to make it not too old, or to make it like, a similar age to Steve Rogers, or what have you. But the real issue comes with, how do you make Wolverine the full Wolverine? Because Wolverine without his adamantium is a little bit useless, because every single thing that he hits, he immediately shatters his bone. Granted, yes, it does grow back, but it does make for a less efficient Wolverine. So how is he going to get the space to be the Wolverine, like the fully encompassed Wolverine, who's, punching robots and throwing, cars and motorcycles? How is he going to do that with bone claws? You need to have him as a fully fleshed out version of the character that people know him more as. And how are you going to do that with an element that is like barely 2 to 3 years in universe, that can, number one, get taken, used, refined, and used in a government shadow ops division that is creating more super soldiers or whatever? How are you gonna make a Weapon X program if the material that is used in it is still under, number one, heavy government regulation, and number two, the subject of many international wars? Like, how are you even going to rationalize it? Like, oh, they just have 1 metric ton of, adamantium. Where'd they get it from? Captain America Brave New World was literally about maintaining the fact that nobody gets a piece of the pie if no one can share. So, who has a metric ton of adamantium that is going to be used to make Lady Deathstrike and make weapons and eventually be injected into the skeleton of Logan? That's the big question. Because he can't be bony Wolverine. He has to be, sheathed up, fully clawed up Wolverine. But they've written themselves into a corner by making Tiamat this, adamantium being. I think it just should have been something else. Like, I think it just should have been another space material. Hell, I would have been okay with it being Uru. I don't even care. I know Urus are hard to get metal and whatever, but the fact that it's on Earth now would have made it more interesting, because Asgardians now live on Earth, and Thor is like, he's not really like the president, because that's more Valkyrie, but Thor should be like the foremost. Actually, Thor and Valkyrie, because Valkyrie is older than Thor, and Valkyrie was a warrior before Thor was even born, part of the King's Guard, Valkyrie and Thor were the two people who know many things about Uru metal. Because, if I'm not mistaken, the Valkyrie had weapons made out of Uru metal. So that could have been an interesting element to add into the fray over just a random metal that no one knows how good it is. At least with Uru, people know, okay, that's made from Thor's hammer. Oh, Thor the god. Oh, that's a precious metal indeed. We need to take that. And then have the Asgardians fighting over that. But no, now that it's fucking adamantium, what the fuck are you gonna do with the Weapon X program? That was like the biggest thing that was like, what the fuck? Like, what now? What's gonna happen now? You're gonna have a 26-year-old Wolverine. You're gonna have a Wolverine who barely knows how to use his own power set. It's just stupid.
It's a situation like you hit the nail right on the head there with this pure statement. Marvel has written themselves. Okay, Marvel Studios has written themselves into a corner because even after this reset, I think the biggest thing about this reset is that Marvel in those stages, phase 1 to 3, started without all of their toys. And now in phases 4 and 5, they finally have access to all the toys they've always wanted to play with. But thing is, they try to shoehorn all these toys instead of hang on, let me wait and let's see what all these other characters got going on instead of, trying to cram in mutants into these already existing stories. Kamala Khan was an Inhuman, not a mutant. But because we got to tease the X-Men, she's now a mutant. And, the Fantastic Four being in their own universe is you can clearly tell the Fantastic Four being in their own universe happens solely as a consequence of we can't retcon them into the MCU as it is because we have to explain
100%.
where they've been. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, plus, even if they were always there, it's fine. Using them in the modern day would be pointless because they'd be like 90 years old.
Yeah,
It would be pointless.
exactly.
They'd be fucking old. They would be useless on the battlefield. All of their stories would start and end pre-21st century, which would be useless for us because we want to see them interact with our people. The only way they could have really done it justice is if they were stuck in time. Hey, let's pull a post-crisis Supergirl stuck in a time zone for 30 years or 40 years.
There's a way they could have
That would
done
have been
that.
something
Yeah,
that would have been a little bit better. Because at the very least, I think the biggest issue with them being from different universes is the fact that they don't really know each other. Like, okay, cool. Reed Richards, smartest man alive. He goes through the, docking ship. He sees a guy with the middle arm, a guy with the shield, and another guy with a beard and a weird uniform. He can't immediately discern who they are. Now, if it was Reed from the same world, he would say, Sergeant Barnes? Oh my God. Is that you? Wait, are you related to Sergeant Barnes? Oh shit, it is Sergeant Barnes. And then with Sam, he'd be like, oh, are you Captain America now? That's cool. Hey, black guy. Hey, it's cool.
I don't know
no
about that. There is the off chance that he might be racist. I mean, this is.
That's why, I'm saying it like that. Like, and then he sees Red Guardian and he's like, are you Alexei of the Soviets? He's like, I've read about you. Oh my God. Please tell me about Stalin. Whatever. Having him
To
from the
this
same world,
day,
at
we
least
still don't know if
gives
Lexi
him,
was bullshitting or not. They've never cleared that up.
yeah.
Very
So like
weird.
now that they're from different universes, Reed knows nothing about these heroes. He knows nothing about them. He doesn't know a Tony Stark. He doesn't know Steve Rogers. Like, there's no hero like that on their world. It's literally about as important as Superman meeting Bucky. Like, they know about as much as each other as Superman coming from across multi-dimensional plane and meeting the Winter Soldier. That is how basis their meeting is. They know nothing about each other, like absolutely nothing, because no hero like that existed in his universe. It's useless.
Yep.
Their meeting will not be special by any stretch of the imagination, no pun intended, because they're just strangers. I'm sure Ben Grimm's in Wakanda, like, what the fuck am I doing in this fucking black community? Like, they got fucking flying ships. What the fuck is this? Is this Star Trek?
I mean, it wouldn't be too trippy because they were in a pretty like a retro futurist society already. I mean, granted,
True.
everyone else wasn't driving flying cars, but Reed Richards in the Fantastic Car, there was some flying shit. So it wouldn't be too alien of a concept for him to be with, but you know, it's definitely, it would be a shock to his system to be like, what is this? Because they're not just in another universe, they're in the future. They're in our present day. So yeah.
Which is even more unfortunate when you realize the fact that Black Panther got his introduction in a Fantastic Four comic. Like, Wakanda is so uniquely tied to the Fantastic Four. And they don't know each other, but they're meeting. So, hey, Easter egg. That's pretty cool. But it's still not 100% special because ultimately there's no history to tie it together. Like, oh, King T'Chaka, he was a great man. You know, like they're just... and it's unfortunate, you know. I think if they did have the whole, 60s like backstory, it would slightly affect the way that the movie looks, because in the 60s, in the MCU at least, it was just the 60s. You know, there wouldn't have been any reasonable tech that is advanced enough to have a flying car, to have a Herbie. Like, I think the most futuristic shit in the 60s was anything that Hank Pym was whipping up. So it would have drastically limited the technological prowess of the Fantastic Four movie. Because even if you could say, oh, well, it was only Reed who had that tech, it was only Reed who could do that. If so, when they did get lost in that time rift I speak of, why wasn't Reed's notes, his knowledge, collected and used to make the 60s as modern? Then again, you can ask the same question for the same movie, because in that same Fantastic Four movie, the rest of the New York, whatever, is not modern. It's just like 60s New York. It's mostly them who are modern, and it kind of stops there. It doesn't really extend to the whole world, but, obviously they build Galactus portals, so maybe that point is null and void. Maybe it's null and void. Whatever.
Hey, we don't even know how long that took. Something like that would take like months to establish. Because, and this movie just sort of condenses it into like a montage as if it just took a couple days.
Maybe we're to believe that Reed shared his notes with the world's foremost engineers. Like, let's just think for a second. If you went to the past, right now, 2026, and gave the world's best, like, you go to Geneva, you go to Oslo, where they would eventually build a supercomputer. If you went to those places, each gave them blueprints for a Windows Lenovo, an Apple MacBook, a PlayStation's, maybe a second generation 5, an Xbox One S, and then an LED TV, OLED TV. If you just gave them those blueprints and left, how long would it take them to make those things in the 60s?
That would take forever because
You
there's a
know,
lot of software that
just
doesn't
like in
match up.
Loki.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like even in Loki, season 2, he gave a real life version of uh, the guy's character. He gave him the instructions on how to build a tempad, which should be impossible for a human in the early 90s, but it's fine. I say well up. He gave him instructions for a tempad, and then he came back. He said, "How long did it take you?" It took me like 3 years at my marriage. 3 years. 3 years to build a cosmic tool, that can shatter temporal realms and access time streams. That took you 3 years. It's fine. You know what? It's fine. Why? Because he was a Sheldon Cooper. He was an astrophysicist. It's cool. It's fine. So, hey, maybe if you give scientists back then blueprints, they could recreate just about anything with some time. It's fine. Fuck it. In any case, though, the Fantastic Four existing in the 60s would have made the whole MCU more advanced. So I do kind of get why they did not make them part of that universe. Otherwise, a lot of things would be more advanced. More advanced.
Yeah. Although, given Fantastic Four, I still say, with First Steps, I still say it was a missed opportunity not actually introducing us to Victor Von Doom in that movie. Because now all that build up is going to be on the shoulders of Doomsday.
Victor, we should have just had RDJ, European accent, slightly green suit, and the nation of Latveria. We should have had that in First Steps. We should have had, fine. Let's have a flashback. Who the hell cares? Why not? No de-aging though. Real actors. Let's get a flashback. Young Reed in college, young Victor in college, or even high school. Fuck it.
Better yet,
it's
in the context of that film, you remember that clip from the trailer where Ben was looking through the window and they saw like that video where before they went up and he was still human and they're like, best pilot in the world this is. Best looking, I mean. Have that clip go longer and have the camera pan over to show Victor is also there. He was also in that fucking thing. You know?
That's such a good point because there was an edit. I'm pretty sure. I'm okay. I'm not sure 100%, but I'm pretty sure I downloaded the video. Right? It was a video back when people wanted Doom to show up in Fantastic Four. It was exactly what you're describing of. If I go on TikTok, I can probably find it and send it to you. But that people did say that would be somewhat stupid because Reed never went on. He never went on the spaceship with them in any continuity, obviously, because Reed's powers are different. I mean, Doom's powers are different. He's a sorcerer, and his mother made a deal with Mephisto, and his power set is completely different to theirs. But obviously, for the 05 movie, it had to be narratively coherent that everyone got powers, including him. But that would have been much. It would have been much more coherent as a story plot if you have Doom as, example, a benefactor of the actual space mission. Because Doom is a head of state, and he does have an extensive research department, science department. So he very well could have been the person to fund the actual voyage, but Reed is also a billionaire in that case. So now it would happen. Now it would depend upon in what capacity do you want to add Victor into the equation? Because it's not like Reed can't afford to put himself to space. But then if you do that, then why is Victor there? And if Victor's there, did he go to space? It kind of it brings too many questions than it does answer. But 100% definitely he should have been in the movie as maybe a slightly antagonistic role. Just, slightly, not too much. Just not too much. Not like he is the villain of the movie, but, he's there. He's got like kind of a love-hate dynamic with Reed, but he's still a head of state.
There's a way. I mean, if you really want to have him not be the villain, but have him still be some kind of force, instead of the Mole Man, when they're like, hey, we're going to bring Galactus here to the middle of New York, instead of Sue Storm going to talk to the Mole Man and having the people move underground, you could have her go off to Latveria and be like, Victor, I need a favor. And, because, he could be the saving grace for the people in New York. Instead of them going underground, it would be like, hey, we need you to give temporary asylum to the citizens of New York over here in Latveria because it's far enough away that there won't be any damage. But close enough that, we can get people there in time. Some shit like that. We could manufacture reason like that. That way we get to see Doom in the story. He gets to have some kind of impact on it. Unlike in the fucking movie where the closest we get is a picture of a plaque that reads Latveria and that scene at the end in the post credits. Which also, why wouldn't he be there? The world is under threat. Like, the world might end for all he knows. Why isn't he at that fucking meeting hearing out like what's being said? And if he's not there, why isn't he doing anything? The world is being threatened by a cosmic destroyer, and Victor Von Doom, as powerful as he is doing nothing about it?
It's dumb.
Yeah.
This is why I always say, like, it's so incomprehensible to me that, like, regular people can be responsible. Like, we can make much better changes. And you ask yourself, why are these things not considered in movies? Because it doesn't make sense in any realm. Because Doom is not Thanos. Thanos has built up at the very least since 2012. We saw Thanos enough in Guardians 1 that we looked forward to him. We all screamed when we saw him at the very end of Civil War. Was it Civil War or Age of Ultron?
At the end of, because it was Age of Ultron.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, Age of Ultron, because people were confused. They thought that Ultron was working for Thanos because he said, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
Yeah, because he had mentioned something weird about like there are more threats and you'll have to deal with them.
Yeah.
And then Vision was like, we'll deal with that together. Whatever.
No, it was Tony. It was Tony. He was like up there, that's the end game. And
yeah. Tony said that, but Ultron said something about further.
He said, I remember. He said, every time the earth settles, God throws a stone, and believe me, he's winding up. And that didn't make sense at first. But when you couple it with that scene and he's like, believe me, he's winding up. I think
my first thought was like, I had like some bullshit thing back then. I was like, does he remember like the fucking living tribunal? What the fuck's he talking about? How does he know about that? Like when I first saw it, I was like, huh? How do you know God? Like, I was like, what the fuck? But obviously it was a metaphor, but clearly it was just the summation that something bad will always come. it's kind of like Dragon Ball Z. There's always a bad villain on the way. There's always a villain. There's always the next strongest guy. So yeah.
The
For
theory,
Marvel, it was like
the working theory that I had around around that time was when he was talking about, like, believe me, he's winding up, and then Thanos said, fine, I'll do it myself. I didn't think Ultron was working for Thanos. I thought because Ultron is born of the Mind Stone, that the stones had a link, and somehow
like
him having that glove, like somehow he knew, like he could sense, he could sense him coming. Yeah,
because obviously the stones have specific link. They have a certain energy signature that they all share, and the fact that Thanos had gotten, what stone did he have? 112. He had the Mind Scepter.
No, that was,
and the Mind Scepter.
The Mind Scepter was in Vision. The Mind Stone was Vision. The Reality Stone was
Oh no! I mean, before they gave it to Loki.
Oh yeah. He had that. He gave it to Loki.
He had it. And after that, it was, it went to Hydra and struck her, and then they got her back. And then the events of Ultron happened, and then Vision was born. So Thanos had something.
He had the Power Stone, right? No, he got that from... No. He did have the Power Stone, because the Reality Stone he got from the Collector.
Exactly. Because Ronan stole the Power Stone from Thanos, and then the Guardians fought for the Power Stone against Ronan.
Yeah.
So that energy link, I think, like, kind of fed Vision that information that, okay, there are forces beyond your earthly realm that are creating certain moves. Like, certain moves are being done above the earthly realm that are going to lead to the culmination of Earth's destruction. Because the Mind Stone in itself has like a weird precognition kind of thing. Because when Thor touched it, I think he saw up to what? Infinity War? Thor saw something.
Yeah.
Like when he first touched Vision.
He saw up to Ragnarok, because Heimdall told him like Ragnarok is coming, so it's like that's as far as he saw ahead. Yeah.
He, scoured the 9 realms, ended up, and then that's when we watched the movie, Thor Ragnarok. Surtur, whatever, Surtur's crown. But that whole journey was catapulted by him touching like Vision and then seeing what's going on and then leaving. And then when you compare it to Eric Selvig, his condition was more so Master's like me. Like he'd finally lost his mind. But Selvig had the Mind Stone link since the first Avengers movie. And he kept spouting things like, he knew the truth. He knew, his life's purpose or whatever. Obviously, he was knocked back into reality by Natasha, thanks to Natasha. But the link was never really severed, because by the time that Thor 2 came out, he was kind of crazy. He was kind of crazy, and people didn't know why. But Thor knew why. And obviously in Ragnarok, they don't show up, but we do learn that because of the link that he had in the Avengers movie, the things that he is saying in Thor 2 are speaking about like this portal, this like planetary link that is happening in some weird random location. Like he's speaking about real things, and he only knows it because of the fucking stone's link to the reality stone. So clearly there's like a weird precognition element that comes with having the mind. So even Vision himself, granted it was pretty late at that point, it was so late. Vision was having weird visions about invasions after he got married to Wanda. And Nakona, they were so late because, nigga, the day you had your last vision, you were attacked like 20 minutes later. That's stupid. Like, you should do better. Like, you should know this like a month in advance.
Have you seen The Shining? You ever seen The Shining? That like Jack Nicholson and like the Stanley Kubrick
I have.
movie.
I'm not sure, but yeah, carry on.
There's a dude in that movie. The black guy. He works at the hotel, and he's the last person like that family talks to before like they have to stay there. And he has this ability that's called the shine. That ability is what allows him to see that the little boy's in danger, and he doubles back like later in the film to come save the day. It also allows him to like kind of foresee incoming danger, which is fucking hilarious because man, he dies in the most. How the fuck do you get? So he's walking down the hallway, and keep in mind he has the shine. He can he can sense that the kid is in danger. He can sense there's something wrong with the dad, and he has a little bit of precognition, but he can't foresee Jack Nicholson popping out of the corner with a fucking axe and getting him in the stomach. Like,
ridiculous.
Exactly. Like, bro. Oh shit. That's what it was when fucking Vision happened, because he can sense at the end of the movie, right? Right before he dies, right before Thanos shows up, Vision says he's here. Cause he can sense him coming. How the fuck did they sneak up on you early on if you can sense these motherfuckers coming?
He has been having, and he tells us so nicely, it's been going on for months now. This is the bad dream. Nigga, you are not a human. You don't have dreams. You're not a human. When you close your eyes, you don't dream. What you're seeing is the future. Please do something about it, you stupid dumbass. You are busy gibbering in Paris or wherever the fuck you are. We are gibbering. The world is gonna die. You are busy gibbering. Like, I don't know what the fuck he thought this was. Talking about dreams. Nigga, you are not alive. You are a thing. You are a machine. You don't even eat. You know, how the fuck you can call it a dream? It was so stupid. I was like, okay, it's not his fault. It's not his fault, but the Avengers could have been more prepared and assembled if for his if he had thought and said, you know what, Tony, I'm getting some weird dreams, but obviously I'm not alive, so it's not dreams. So what do we do? You know, they could have assembled. But then obviously because Doctor Strange didn't see that, they probably would have lost. So I guess it had to go down like that. But still, so it's stupid. It's stupid. You know, the Mind Stone. Where is the Mind Stone now? Where is it? It's gone.
He put it back. Like Cap put it back, but wait a minute, put it back where? Because he would have. 2012. Yeah, it's back in 2012. Okay.
So. The original one is destroyed. Thanos destroyed. It's reduced to atoms. Well, okay, it's not destroyed.
It's just dust.
It's atomized. Yeah. So it's too small to do anything with. My thing was when I first heard that in theaters. Okay, then fucking make it bigger pin particles. Are you dumb?
Yeah, you said that way back. You thought because you saw that trailer that had Ant-Man in it, and you thought, oh, okay, the moment Thanos said it's reduced to atoms, they were gonna go in the quantum realm and reassemble the stones. But like
it's but you know, it's fine. They don't think of that. We think of that. You know, but we're not movie guys. You know, we're just guys who talk about theories. It's fine. Now, if they return the stone to 2012, what happens to Loki's timeline? Because Loki, Mr. Yggdrasil, he's the same Loki who escaped. That timeline was nuked, right? Shortly after he escaped. It's fine. They died for that. Like, they all died for Loki. It's fine. What happens to the Mind Stone? Is it also because we saw in Casey's drawer a couple of Infinity Stones? The assumption is those Infinity Stones are from dead timelines that have been wiped. Because I guess you can't destroy the Infinity Stones without like an Infinity Crusher, number one, or snapping to destroy them, which would endanger your own life. So instead, they just take them and throw them in a drawer because they're ineffective at the TVA. What happened to the 2012 Mind Stone? It was put in the drawer.
Yeah. Also,
so what happens to all those stones? They just sit in the drawer for all eternity? Did
probably
Loki do something with them? Did he build a gauntlet for safekeeping for like emergencies?
he really should
Then
have.
if he did, would it still work in the other universe? Because what if told us, oh, you can't use stones from another world, but then that's not true because Infinity Ultron came from another universe to bully other Avengers. So how do his stones work?
Not to mention that fight with the Watcher throws all that shit out the window. Because they fought through multiple universes.
That's why it's like, different rules apply to different plot points, often in the same story. Why is Thanos reducing the stones to atoms allowed, but Ant-Man can't retrieve them in the quantum realm? They have an Infinity Stone tracker, like they can track the coordinates of them even if they're atomized. I just don't understand, like different rules for like the same story. Number one, it's plot contrivance. Number two, it's writers not knowing where to go. So it's just kind of dumb. It's dumb. And it's like, what are you gonna do? They wrote it.
I mean,
it's fucked up, man.
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
It's just the state of the MCU.
One thing I know is I'm gonna be critiquing Spider-Man like this. Glorious Spider-Man, glorious Spider-Man. Amy, Pascal, and Kevin are glazing Dustin
Creighton, yeah.
Creighton. They are glazing. They're saying it's the best movie that they have ever, like, it's the best Spider-Man they've ever watched. They stood up and gave it a round of applause. They're glazing him. Every ounce of glazing I've seen for Dustin, and I'm not gonna, I see the hype, I get it. Every ounce of glaze that I see, even from Tom, saying he's never been more excited to make a Spider-Man movie, it just kind of reinforces how shit John Watts was. He never got any praise for anything. Never got any praise. Suddenly Dustin comes and then Tom is like, this is the first time I've been so involved in filmmaking and I'm loving the process. I never knew this what it was like to make a movie. And I'm so excited. I'm so stoked. Like, what the hell was John Watts doing? They're never gonna get him again. The quote I just mentioned about Amy Pascal and Feige, they're talking about, nigga, they would love for him to do more in the future. They're talking about he is definitely doing more.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all them nice things. Have the day you wish to have.